I'm done screwing up my speech. Or am I? Let's find out. We're throwing chairs at Flamebreak. It's from Nimbly Games, built on a custom engine built off of libGDX, a library for Ven's favorite programming language, Java. No, I'm kidding. His favorite programming language is COBOL, obviously. It's priced at $9.99 or $10.99 Canadian. You want to pay the Canada tax. And what is it? Flamebreak is a roguelike action RPG featuring a unique blend of twin stick meets and MOBA arena combat. Each procedurally generated run presents new challenges while your hero's race is randomized, your weapons and blah blah blah, inspiring new playstyles and character builds. And they did send us some keys. This was like 2 weeks ago, so we checked it out and we decided nothing came out this week, so we're gonna throw some chairs at it. So let's kick off the CHAIRQUISITION. 1 chair means that it's garbage, 2 chairs means that it's meh, 3 chairs means that it's pretty good, and 4 chairs means that it's awesome. It's team porn star good. And we also got our categories to do, mixed with the working, shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So let's kick this off. Ven, did Flamebreak break your box?
Giggity. How did Flamebreak work? Well, on the octa-core 8150 with a 980 displayed at the 4Ks, well, technically UHD, ran pretty well. I mean, you do have the option to select your targeted FERPs, and I was like, all of them, 300. It did just fine at that at 1080, and at UHD at 2160. Did the same thing. Good on that. However, at UHD, it's got almost over half a second of cursor lag. And we'll talk about why that's important and also why it made it completely unplayable at 2160 later on. So there is one other small issue. It's not working with Steam Overlay. Like, seriously, in 2016. Really? I didn't expect that. That was kind of a give me. So, bam! You're going to get dinged a chair, and I'm going to give it 3 because it works, and it works pretty good. But, I don't like playing at like 1080p. That's such a peasant resolution.
Now, conversely, on Team Blue Land with the i7-6700K and the GTX 980.
Team Red for the win.
Yeah, bunch of communists is what. No, but no issues at UHD for me. I'll get to the control issues in that segment, but Steam Overlay worked fine. In fact, I had to alt tab out of there multiple times to switch Stargate episodes in Plex, because that's what was my background as for playing through this. But yeah, no, Steam Overlay had no issues on my box whatsoever running Fedora 2264-bit. There, I got that all. 4 chairs.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues with the Steam Overlay either. Maybe that's a Fedora thing, since I'm running Fedora 23 with the FX 8370E overclocked at 4.2 gigahertz and the GTX 970 Strix. Now, the game did one stupid thing, which is it went like, oh, you have one of those 3840 by 1080 screens that don't exist? Let me spawn the window smack in the middle of it. So yeah, I had a window in the middle of the 2 monitors with a big ass bezel in the middle. But yeah, I couldn't really find an option. Yeah, they are bezel-less monitors, but it was still pretty damn glaring. I couldn't really find an option to make it stick to one screen, so it gets dinged a chair for that. 3 chairs.
Well, here in Separate X Session Master Race, we don't experience any of these problems, so that's 3 chairs mixed with the working. Up next is Shiny and the Sounds. Ben.
It's amazing. Not really. Here's the thing. You're going to start this game up, and it goes into full story mode. I mean, the intro is like kind of epic. It's got the voice reading, a little Middle Earth-ish, kind of like that. I mean, it's definitely some Lord of the Rings type shite. And that's kind of what you're expecting, because I went into this blind. I always like my first experience to be like, okay, if I don't know about the game, I just want it presented that way. But nope. No Lord of the Rings type graphics, nope, not at all, because you're basically immediately faced with just cutesy arse mobile graphics. It's like, hey, we're little bobbleheads. Wow, that's jarring. It's like 2 different teams. They spend all their money like in between the level transitions, between the actual gameplay. However, they're well done cutesy arse mobile graphics, but again, fuck me if I was expecting that. But, this is also from the studio that pumped out such graphical juggernauts as Bumbledore and Altitude. The sounds work. They do bring that Middle-earthy theme, like, okay, fantasy type setting and all that business, and nothing really to complain about on that. Not much in the way of any type of voice acting. There is, just your over bit of dialogue if you manage to progress in the game. And I think that was done well enough. But not really dinging a chair because it's fugly. I'm dinging in a chair because the art style between what you think you're going to get versus what you're actually presented with are two different Moon universes. But I'm going to give it 3.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch the intro video, so I did not suffer that. I also saw the trailer of the game before I played it, so I knew what I was getting into. And I mean, I'm not really blown out of the water with the sprites. It's very much a mobile graphical type thing. And the background music is there. I mean, it all serves its purpose. It's all competently done. But I personally find this rather middle of the road, especially when we have much better looking games out there that offer similar experiences, i.e. like Forced, or the rest of them escape me, but still.
Victor Vran.
Yeah, Victor Vran even, for sure. So, I mean, given the company this sort of game keeps, I'm not really that impressed. I'll give it 2 cheers.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the bobblehead stylization that they went with. It makes it impossible for me to get immersed in a game when it looks like that. It doesn't, and all things considered, it doesn't really take much to get me immersed in a game. Usually a solid set of mechanics and cohesive graphics is all I ask for. Just, Fallout 3, that was kind of like crack cocaine for me. The floaty arms and heads in this game are anything but cohesive. That's probably the reason I never got into the Rayman series. I did like the background music. It's nothing spectacular, but it's well done, and it conveys the setting better than those crappy bobbleheads. I did like the poetry light loading screen / cutscenes. I couldn't really tell if they were going for the simple 4-line or just an alternate style of rhymes, but they didn't force it too much. So it gets 3 cheers from me.
All right, so that's 2 cheers for Shiny and Sounds. Up next is the controls. Then, how is it to sit back on your couch and play this with the controller?
In the big picture mode. Well, you know what? Just go ahead and fuck off if you think you're going to play this thing with a controller. Just get that out of your brain organ, because keyboard and gerbil is a must. And unfortunately, that's only half the battle. The other half is not making it really clear that the hotkeys that you use for your specials can be reordered, because the place you want to put that is in the menu. Because, really? Okay.
Well, they do tell you that in the tutorial.
Oh, right. We always watch tutorials. Sorry, we don't. And one other thing I will say about just give it up. You're not going to play this with a controller. I mean, give this to your child or somebody else that you dislike and let him play it with a controller just to watch the frustration. Maybe that's a sound plan. But when you are using the controller, most of the menus that you have to deal with, it just simulates a gerbil. You're like, oh, control stick. And I was like, wow, that's just janky, and it comes across completely unpolished. I mean, there's no actual menu selection. He's like, okay, let's drag this, with the D-pad all the way up here, all the way down here, and we'll do that. And you get in the game, and there's no clear way to target. It's like, oh, it's a twin stick. And I was like, twin stick my ass. Yeah, show title on that one. It's not broken, but it's not good. I'll give it a solid 3 cheers, but only if you're playing with a keyboard and a gerbil.
So I actually made it to about halfway through the second map. When we first got this game, I was playing with the PlayStation 4 controller here. It's glowing. Look at it. Ooh, it's fancy. But yeah, what I'd really like to do is be able to sit back on my couch and play this. But when you're trying to like rotate your guy to aim anything, it just doesn't work with the controller. You really, really, really need a keyboard and mouse. And I mean, I tried it with both last week, and it was really super sluggish. And it seems like they have fixed it this week. So beyond that, I mean, yeah, play this with the keyboard and mouse. They really, really do need some, improved controller support. And that's enough to ding it a chair, so it'll get 3.
Yeah, it recognized the NVIDIA Shield controller with the correct mappings, no less, which is something rare. all things considered. But chances are, like Ben and Jordan already mentioned, you're going to want to play this with a keyboard and mouse. And that, at least for me, worked fine. I didn't really have any issues, and there's really nothing I can point at. But that's probably because I didn't really enjoy the game, but I'm getting ahead of myself. 4 chairs for the controls.
All right, so that is 3 chairs for the controls. And we got a final category, fun. Ben, did you have fun?
Fun? You mean our subjective category where we each share our own different opinions and experiences?
No. There's an objective standard for what fun is and what it is not.
Oh, it's not like a metaphor for chainsaws. Okay, well.
It's a metaphor for your mother.
Excusing that, I actually put a real full Arn into this game, and that was a chore. That was a task. What allowed me to do that is I finally got kind of, luck of the draw, because you basically roll characters with different abilities. And I finally got a Minotaur, with a spear, and he had some range moves I liked, and everything was laid out. It's like, okay, we can get somewhere. I actually got 3 progressions in, 3 levels in, however you want to call it. Then he got dead, and I had to start over. Now, I want to quote this from the side. Why did I have to start over? Well, randomized heroes, race, weapons, and skills inspire new playstyles and character builds. No, sir, it did not. Not for me. It inspired me to stop playing this damn game after I'd hit my 60-minute mark on it. Because, you know what? Fuck permadeath and fuck procedurally, show title, procedurally generated anythings. And this is a permadeath, procedurally generated cocktail of nope. All right. Seriously, that's not necessarily the fault of the game, but it is their fault for mixing these 2 horrible elements together. And if you're like me and have just the slightest aversion to either of those popularly defined user tags on Steam, just stay away, get away. And I'm just going to say in closing for this, quit. Because I see a lot of people doing it in the forum. Steam refunds, their thing. This doesn't hold water. Quit comparing this to Binding of Isaac. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even in the same universe. Stop. I mean, you're just making that up. I will never go back and play this. I did not have a fun time with it. It was definitely a chore. And I'm going to have a little bit of extra to throw in our closing notes to really let you know what I think about it. But since it's compared to some things we reviewed, this is a very highly functioning game that has actual mechanics and has game in it. So I can't give it 1 chair. Kind of wish we had a half chair, because I'd definitely give it a 1.5, but I'm going to give it 2 just because I'm feeling generous.
Fractions are for indecisive twats, Then.
And frogs.
And frog. Yes, and Frogger. I actually do like the randomized character a bit. It gives you sort of a variety of things to try out. And I mean, I played with a bunch of different guys just to vary things up. And I found that I was only really good with the musket or the crossbow, because the spear and the sword are just too slow. But yeah, if you pick a guy with at least 2 dash moves and a crossbow or the blunderbuss, you should be pretty good to go. I did pretty well with those. And I also like the Rogue Legacy type functionality, where every time you beat a game, you get some experience. And as you gain experience and levels, you unlock more things. So even when you die, it's still not for naught. You accomplish something and there is some reward for it. So that's pretty nice. However, this is a shmup. I hate shmups. This is a relatively enjoyable, well done shmup, but it's a shmup nonetheless. It does a lot of things right. The mechanics are very well defined. The random encounters you get into are actually the same. The locations are just different. So if you're having trouble with 1 or 2 of them, you can keep repeating them until you actually get the hang of it, and are actually effectively able to perfect or near perfect the stage, which is nice. It does actually have a learning curve, and there is some degree of mastery to it. But the thing that really gimps it, and this actually costs it a chair in the fun category, is it needs controller support. I want to play this on my couch. This would actually be kind of fun. I enjoyed it kind of, but playing it with a keyboard and mouse is not really my dice, so I'm gonna have to give it 2 chairs.
Yeah, so going back a little bit to what Ben said, this is not The Binding of Isaac. The first thing that Nori said when she saw me playing this game was like, oh, that's kind of like Binding of Isaac. No, it's not. You see, The Binding of Isaac is a very well... they've basically nailed down the mechanics to the point... Well, they basically have it down to science. It's very well done, and all the shooting mechanics and everything else is very well implemented. This just feels like you're flailing around a feather duster, hoping to hit something in the meantime. It's a roguelite single-player MOBA type of thing. One thing I did like about this game was the roguelike bits. The permadeath, the randomization, the difficulty... that I liked. What I didn't like was the cooldown-based MOBA-style combat. There was a game that I actually enjoyed that did that very well, which was called Necro, and it's not doing so well these days. Yeah. Part of that specific style of combat with the bobblehead aesthetics that I mentioned earlier, and you have yourself a two-chair game.
All right, so if we're going to tally all that up, we get 2 chairs for the fun and 2 chairs for the total score, which is a not sure if font on the CHAIRQUISITION O-meter, O-tron, O-dice, O-whatever. Final thoughts, gents?
Well, I said I was going to try to put a bow on this because ultimately at the end of the day, with your lackady hairdo and your sparkly cowboy boots, what this game is, I mean, it almost seems like it was an attempt built from the ground up to entice Twitch streamers. Wait, is that a list of live Twitch streams on the start screen? Yes, it is, Brad. Yes, it is. And no one's really playing your game. The ultimate sad thing is I searched for a review for your game. It doesn't really exist. And
it does now.
The embarrassing thing is when this actually gets published as a review in our review section, it will be the first on the Gooks.
Yeah. I can sort of see the appeal, and pricing it at $10 was probably a very good decision. Now, this is the kind of game that I hate. It's not terrible, and it's not particularly good either.
Like, hey, let's make Hearthstone, kind of.
No. See, Hearthstone is very good. It basically boiled down the mechanics of Magic the Gathering to just the essentials, and it works. This game, on the other hand, is mediocre. It's a game that borrows mechanics from other much better games and does absolutely nothing spectacular with them, and it has the literal definition of a disjointed aesthetic, because, having floating arms and legs is fucking having a disjointed character.
Flash game.
I'm really torn on whether or not to recommend this game, because yes, it's cheap, but it's not very good.
God damn it, Empty! You take the money and you put it no. I mean, like, this game had bits that I liked, and it had bits that I didn't like. It is very much the definitive 2-chair game of it's sort of in the middle of the road. It could be better, and there's definitely some good game in here. It just needs to be brought out some more and have some goddamn controller support. So that about wraps up the Chairquisition for Flamebreak. More like Lame Break.